In this video, I'm going to share how you can build a sustainable business model. And I'm going to map out 5 key things you can do right here, right now, in order to make sure that the business model you're building will last you and support you for a really long time. Creating sustainable business models is somewhat of a passion of mine, mostly because I did it so wrong for so long and I learned all my lessons the hard way, and now I really love to pay it forward to you so that you can save yourself from making a lot of the mistakes that I made. So why is it important to have a sustainable business model? Well, if you're someone who wants to live a nice life and feel grace and ease and calm and peace, and if you're someone who wants to make an impact for a really long time, all of these things are served by you creating a sustainable business model today. So I'm going to dive into what that exactly means, and I think it'll help for me to share a little bit of my story with you and map out some business models on the screen or on the whiteboard so that you can see exactly what I'm talking about, what it looks like to have an unsustainable business model, and then compare that to having a sustainable one. So when I started my coaching, consulting, training, speaking, whatever I can do to get a buck business, this is what it looked like. I'm going to map out where all of my leads came from, a lot of different places. Some of the things that I was doing a lot of networking. So I would shake a lot of hands, kiss a lot of babies, get out to chamber events. I was constantly out in the world, meeting people and trying to generate business that way. Because I was doing a lot of networking and because I was positioning myself as a thought leader and a speaker, I also had a lot of opportunities to speak in front of audiences. And because of that, I generated a lot of inbound emails, phone calls, and other opportunities. So I was getting things coming in from all these different places. The thing to recognize here is that I was trying to serve all these different markets. I was basically, because I was coming from scarcity instead of strategy, I was taking any opportunity that came my way. So it's really an absence of a business model because I was doing so many different things. I was doing one-on-one consulting and coaching. I was doing training. I was doing speaking. I was running events. I was selling my time in half-day chunks and full-day chunks. And I even got a call once if somebody wanted to know if I would write the marketing, the labels for their shampoo bottles. And I took that job. So I did any number of things, and that is the absence of a business model. And because I was doing all these things and because I was getting leads from all these different places, I also didn't have a system whereby things were funneling into one place and moving through a very clear path. So I didn't have a clear customer path. I didn't have clear ways of marketing and selling. I was doing everything. And if somebody emailed me and asked me for my price list, I would email them my training price list. If they called me and wanted to buy my time, then I would try to sell them my time right there on the phone. Or if maybe they emailed me, I would try right there to send them an invitation to an event. So all roads led to everywhere. It was a very confusing thing. And I was selling a whole bunch of different things on the back end. Now, obviously, this was unsustainable for a couple reasons. The first was that my revenues went like this. There were some months when I was making $30,000 in a month, and then there were months where I was making $0 in a month. Now, obviously, that leads to some feelings of anxiety. It leads to more feelings of scarcity. It's hard to show up super energy rich and super abundant, especially as a speaker and in networking, because I was so concerned about money. Like, what's this month going to be like? What's next month going to be like? And because of that, I couldn't hire support. So I didn't hire support because it's hard to hire support when you don't know what your revenues are going to be next month. When you hire somebody, like an employee, even just a part-time employee, they expect to get paid every month. And I really wanted somebody to be in my business full-time or even part-time that was mine. But I couldn't make that commitment because I never knew what next month was going to look like. So for all these reasons, this model wasn't working very well. And the reason I figured out that it wasn't working very well was because my business crashed and burned very quickly. About 5 years ago, I had a situation, a personal challenge in my life that led to me taking my eye off the ball and stopping doing all of these constant hustling and activities to drive business. What happened? Within a couple months, my revenues had dried up because I wasn't doing all the work that I needed to do to generate more. So instead, what I did was I actually met with a mentor and they showed me a new business model. And so in this new model, what I started looking at was a funnel approach. Now, you've probably seen a lot of funnels before, but this one's probably going to look a little different than some of the ones you've seen. In this funnel, all roads started to lead to a new place. In this business model, all roads led to one thing, one meaningful conversation, basically a sales conversation. So from all the speaking and all of the events and all of the inbound calls and all of the inbound emails, instead of doing all this work, instead I would say, well, the way I work is we start by having a strategy session. And in that strategy session, I'll learn a little bit about what you're looking for, and we'll check and see if we're a good fit to work together. And we might not be a good fit to work together. And if we're not, I'll let you know that too. And then I started leading all roads to a simple foundational program, which meant that from all the things that I did, instead of saying, oh, I could do training for you, I could do one-on-one, I could do a half day, I could do a full day, I could write your shampoo bottle labels. Instead, it says, well, the way I work is I have this foundational program that all my clients start with. And in this foundational program, you'll get the base for starting and launching in this new direction. And then from there, we'll figure out what's the next best step to work together. And then, of course, this foundational program in my world, I made it a retreat, but you could make it something else. You could make it a 6-week online program. You could make it a 2-day event. You could make it any number of things. But the key is, what can all roads lead to first? What is a way that you can have all of your efforts lead into one core product or program? And here's the part that solves this problem and this problem. Then from having a foundational program, this road leads to our big back end. And a big back end has 3 key components. A big back end has monthly recurring revenue. It has leverage, which means that you're having less efforts in with bigger outputs. So leverage, for example, is creating, instead of one-on-one work, creating group, or instead of delivering all your content in person, putting your content online and delivering it virtually. These are ways of leveraging your time or leveraging technology. And then finally, it's scalable. It's something that you can continue to add people to without having to invest a whole lot of money in order to scale it bigger. So these are the 3 things from the big back end. And then I just want to add that after we did that, and we got to the end of our first year, because what we created from our retreat program was a 1-year mentoring program for superstars. We call it the Superstar Inner Circle. So what we realized towards the end of our very first year was there were clients that wanted to keep working with us, and we wanted to keep generating monthly recurring revenues, and we wanted to keep serving them. So we ended up creating, after that, we created a bigger back end, which is a year 2-3 program. Now we're in our 5th year of the bigger back end, and we call it our cabinet program. The other area where we added something was we also, from this meaningful conversation, we found there were people who couldn't do the retreat, or they weren't necessarily a fit, or the timing wasn't right, or the money wasn't there. So we created a virtual version of the retreat, and that virtual version was a lower price point. So if this is $2 signs here, this was $1 sign, and let's call this $3 signs. From this program, then we were able to give people the foundation, and then some of them inevitably would become ready for this after they'd completed our virtual program. So this is a sustainable model. Why? Because all roads, all the stuff that we do out in the world, the speaking, so we have a podcast, we do networking, we run our own events. We can diversify the efforts up here, but simplify and focus our efforts down here. What we can sometimes end up doing is, if we get very diversified out here and we build too many products and programs out, it gets confusing. And so one thing, if you want to start building out more here, you can just make sure that it's all coming back to this big back end that gets rid of this and that allows you to start hiring some support. That's how you create a sustainable business model. And a couple things to remember as you're doing this is that it's really important that the work that you get to do in this business, and I really mean the words get to do, that you enjoy it, that it's aligned with who you really are. And if you're struggling with that piece, I have some videos about identity alignment and aligning your business with who you really are that I think are really valuable that you'll want to go check out. But it's really important that if you want this to be sustainable and you are, at this moment, the source of the magic in your business, then it's really important that you focus on making sure that you are doing the work that you love to do, because that is a key part of making this sustainable, is your energy and your mindset and your relationship to the work you're doing every day. If you enjoyed this video, then go ahead and download my free Monetize Your Magic playbook. This is a free guide to help you align your business so that it's more purpose-driven and more lifestyle-friendly all at the same time. You can get that by clicking on the link below. Enjoy.